5options show, where every week Marta and Anna abandon their 5 children, 2 partners and 1 cat to make a show especially for you. An artist, a challenge, a bullshit, a wisdom and a surprise. Tune in and feel the magic of 5.
Hello everyone, this is Marta.
And this is Anna.
And this is You've Got 5 Options show.
Yes, hello guys. I'm laughing because Marta was having very like a reflective face, like she's thinking about the wisdoms of the universe, and I was just wondering if she will manage to like chip in straight away into our radio program, and here we are. You did it.
Yes, I was reflecting on that it's first time in 6 weeks that we have abandoned our 5 kids to partners and a cat.
And a cat, yes. We don't forget the cat. Exactly, guys, we are back in a studio. So for all of you who have listened to our programs when we were recording from our bedrooms via Zoom, we have good news. This time we will provide better audio quality. And we will also have Dennis, which we missed dearly.
Hello.
Hello, Dennis.
And just to reassure you, we are about 2 meters away from Dennis, so we shall not put him in danger.
No.
Exactly. Are we 2 meters from each other, Marta?
We are a meter from each other.
Yes.
We can move away a little. I don't know if the virus in the end is jumping 1 meter or not. What was the case?
I don't know. I've heard it. It's also, like it's like a ninja virus. It's in the bushes. Lately I have seen an article that it can also live on your feet. So you never know.
So don't touch me with your feet, okay?
I won't touch you with my nasty little dirty feet. Oh my God, why did I even say that? See, this is what lockdown is doing to people.
So you didn't take the opportunity of going to the radio to take a shower? To take a monthly shower?
Well, I would like not to comment on that, but I actually washed myself.
You do look washed, so...
Thank you.
That's why.
I even put the makeup on.
Yes, that's a hello makeup. That's unusual.
Yes, although I was putting makeup on for Zoom meetings that were supposed to resemble a bar meeting with a friend. So I actually put makeup maybe like 2-3 times.
Well, I have put my bar high. I'm only doing makeup if I'm appearing on TV.
Okay.
Which means it's a second time in 6 weeks when I put
you
makeup.
You look as beautiful as always, so don't worry.
Yes.
Well, it doesn't mean that the makeup doesn't help you. It enhances certain... I will stop now.
That's all right. That's all right.
I just want to ask, Dennis, are you wearing makeup?
Always.
Always, even in the lockdown?
Yeah, sure.
See? Maybe we should actually, look at Dennis carefully and take some examples from him, because he probably feels festive and normal every day. Yes, he's saying yes. He's nodding yes. Okay. But I think we will start. Marta, what are we going to do today? Are we going to discuss something that is not related to the coronavirus?
Well, we don't think so.
We don't think so.
We don't think that anything else exists than anything that is related to corona.
Tiger King.
Not in my world.
Not in your world. But that is on my Facebook feed, and maybe that says something about my friends or in general the situation. The 2 things I see is coronavirus, and I would say 85 to 90%, and then it's the Tiger King. Have you seen Tiger King on Netflix?
No.
Oh, you should see it.
Everybody says that, and every time somebody says that, it makes me want to see it less.
I know exactly how it works. That's why I haven't seen Game of Thrones first 3 years as it was running, because I was so fed up with people telling me you have to see Game of Thrones. So I was just like resisting as much as I could. But Tiger King is, I saw it before it was cool to see Tiger King. So when it came out, I was like, whoa, something about tigers. And I entered the world as bizarre as our current days. It's really interesting to watch. Yeah.
Well, I am one of these people that have used the time during the quarantine not to watch. I'm probably very exceptional in that. I think many people have been using TV. If you are one of those people like me who have almost not seen anything, I have seen one movie
Okay.
in these times, and I have once a week watched Glee together with my kid when I'm arranging laundry. So that's once a week, sit down for a few hours to arrange laundry while watching something.
I don't know what scares me more, the fact that you watched Glee or the fact that you are spending hours on arranging laundry.
Yeah, it takes time when you have
Yeah.
5 people living together. It takes time.
Yeah, but my daughter also watches Glee, so I guess it's something cool.
It's interesting.
It's interesting.
There are some evil characters
Okay.
in there as well.
Well, like as it is in the normal life. But guys, today we are actually trying to feel your sorrow and questions and challenges you might be having in the current times of this pandemic. So today's program will be about 5 challenges that we believe the common folks like us have in times of coronavirus, pandemic, crisis, lockdown, quarantine. I don't even know how to call it anymore. Situation. So we will be talking about 5 different things that we see that are causing some sort of challenges for people. And we will try to do our best with giving you a couple of information or maybe an advice. And if you are interested in any of those topics, because there will be 5, then just text us, send us a message, and maybe we will make a special show about exactly that. And you can text us exactly like Leah, who sent us a message, and we have not seen it until recently. After one of our shows, Marta, it was after the conspiracy theories about coronavirus. Remember that one? Mm-hmm. I think we have talked quite a lot about China in that episode, right? And we got a message from a listener. We unfortunately don't have an email, so we cannot inform her that yes, we have read it, and now we will read it online here. Online. Well, actually, if you are listening to us online, then it's online. And if not, then it's FM. Okay. So the message goes, and guys, I'm curious, what will you think about it? I feel like when it's about China, people always tend to believe it and lose most basic judgment. For example, the so-called social credit system, like it's just absurd. And the coronavirus at the moment, some people think it's some virus invented by a lab, and now they are just testing it on real people, and some think it's because all Chinese eat wild animals. And if I, as a Chinese, want to say something about it, they will just be like, you're probably brainwashed. Haha, thanks. By the way, I am not a fan of PRC, which is People Republic of China. It's totally fine to criticize them about something that is real. I do that very often too. I am just so fed up by people, especially media, making up facts in quotation marks just to demonize China. So we actually got a message from a listener that is Chinese, and I'm wondering if it has something to do with our interesting jump in Chinese listeners, that we were wondering if it's possible or not possible. Remember, it was a couple of shows ago. So, Leah, thank you very much for the message, first of all. And second of all, I would like to say that everything we said on a show about coronavirus conspiracy back in March was just some theories and more like a commentary on a situation. But I do have to agree with you that China, especially in Western media, is demonized. And I think it's nothing new. And I think we all know it. We do tend to say, yeah, China, communism, and what the hell are they doing there? But I am very much aware that this is a side of a story that the Western media are showing to us. So I agree that you might feel frustrated. And I also believe that as much as we some people here would tend to point fingers at China. In the same time, China is pointing fingers at US, for instance. And that's not a conspiracy theory. It's an actual fact that there are Chinese officials, which are quite high up, like foreign minister, who are saying that it's US who brought the coronavirus to China. And who should we believe? Or should we believe in any of this? And of course, in Western media, this is shown as, look what Chinese are doing. They are trying to, put attention on something else and blame it on US and so on. But I guess it depends on what you believe in, because who can check those facts? Or, well, fact is that the guy is bluntly basically accusing the US government, but who can say what's the truth and what is not? As we all know, the truth is relevant, right, Marta?
Yeah, and also wanted to make a comment around being brainwashed. I have a sad reflection these days that I believe everyone, or close to everyone, or vast majority of people are brainwashed. It just depends what direction you're brainwashed toward. And that's a reflection that I have, because I really do believe that each and every country has some form of propaganda. And I believe that each and every person is exposed to some form of brainwashing. And when we are under brainwashing that we strongly agree with, we think it's the reality and the truth and the facts. And the other one we then tend to evaluate as the wrong one.
Yeah,
And
that's totally true.
yeah. So I am coming to these reflections very much recently, and that's something that is still upsetting my peace. It's extremely difficult to know what is a fact. It's extremely difficult to know what is reality and what is truth. I find it more difficult than ever right now to be able to discern, find out with certainty what's true, what's fact, what's propaganda, what's, brainwashing, what's, I don't know. So, yeah, that's my comment to it.
Yeah, so Leah, as you can see, we are appreciating your comment and we are aware of it. So I do have to say that I know nothing. I am basically like, who was the guy who said, I know that I don't know, or something in these lines? Was it Socrates? Jesus Christ, I should educate.
I don't think it was Jesus Christ.
No, it wasn't Jesus. Dennis, who was that? Socrates? No, it wasn't.
I can't remember.
All I know is that I don't know, and I don't even know who was the original author of this quote. However, you know how it is. We will never know. So, yeah, I appreciate that there is a lot of propaganda on both sides, or 3 sides, 4 sides, all sides of the world. So
Socrates, I know that I know nothing.
Oh my God, thank God. Whew, I saved myself here. Although my doubts, I have to say, are now publicly issued in ether or air. Yeah. Well, but we appreciate that and we know that. And I take all the information with a grain of salt.
And we definitely never want to in any way condemn or criticize anything as a whole, as a nation or as a society or something, because there are always exceptions from everything. And even if you are a part of some sort of community, society, country, or whatever, it doesn't mean that we are all the same and that we all share the same
Totally.
chain of thought.
So, Leah, thank you for the message. Guys, if you feel like sending us any other messages regarding anything you hear on this show, don't afraid to use your computer. As far as we know, there might be viruses there, but not necessarily the corona. So, yeah, you are free to text us or to send us a message. Marta, so should we go to our challenge of the week and the next week?
Yes, let's do that.
Let's hit it.
A very challenging challenge.
of the week.
So as I mentioned, we will be discussing today 5 different challenges. Marta, should we first present them to people so they know if they should drop this episode or like wait for another one or just stop listening?
I think we should mention the 5 of them, and also to mention that we will not do all 5 in one chapter.
It's planned already.
Yes, we will use 2 episodes to discuss those 5 challenges, and definitely we should mention them.
Okay, so the first challenge that we have noticed many people, especially or only those who have children, have is, should I send my child to school or not? And that is a very Denmark-specific challenge, because if you have looked at the news, Denmark is slowly opening up, and one of the stages to the open up is to open kindergartens and first 5 classes of the primary school. So there is a lot of parents who are hesitant and are wondering if they should send the child to the school or not.
But this will be a challenge that many people will have in the future. In a
Exactly.
month, 2, 3, 4, whenever that is, that the country is opening, that challenge will be very valid for many people around the world.
Absolutely. So let's just say that we are pioneers here. The second challenge is how to protest when you cannot assemble or gather, because there are also many agendas being pushed right now that have nothing to do with coronavirus, but because we are locked in our houses. I think recently I read 3 billion people are currently locked in their houses. You cannot assemble, you cannot gather, so you cannot organize a protest. Another question that is apparently quite heated up, but very important to ask, to vaccinate or not to vaccinate, because we know that the main strategy of World Health Organization is to wait for the vaccine, so then we can go back to normal. The fourth challenge we will discuss is how to save your business in the new normal, because we know that many entrepreneurs, especially the solo entrepreneurs, are struggling now with their businesses. And the fifth one is how to go off the grid. So basically, if it will come to the worst, visions of some of the people who are claiming that this might be the attempt to take all of our liberties, how to get out of a system where you have to comply to all the rules that you may not necessarily agree with. We will also mention something about that. How do you like the menu today, Dennis?
Exciting.
Exciting?
Yep.
I'm not sure if Dennis is excited. He's having a very poker face, like a Gandalf poker face. So,
Thinking.
what is the challenge that interests you the most?
The school and the vaccines.
That is something that is quite dominating my Facebook feed. So maybe you are looking at my Facebook, or we share the same.
I do that every morning.
Every morning.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Or not. We don't know yet. Well, but let's start with the very first challenge. Should I send my child to school or not? And Marta, you are actually someone who is faced with this challenge personally, because I am a mother of 2 daughters. One is 14, almost 14 years old. The other one is 10 months. Today, by the way. Happy birthday, Gabriela. And this doesn't concern me, because one is too small, because she's not going to any kindergarten or dayplay yet, and the other one is on the lockdown still. You actually have children in that area, and probably you were looking at some of the reactions and facts and everything that is going on, because this decision by the government to open up kindergartens and school for the youngest ones after Easter is quite divisive.
Okay, so the first thing that I want to say before I say my personal opinion is that I deeply and profoundly respect everyone's decision to whether send or keep their children at home.
Mm-hmm.
I really like the approach from the Danish government that has allowed for people to keep their children if they want to do that. Because the first signs were like, to school you have to send your children because otherwise you can be taken away. There are some support money going out to families with children here in Denmark. That was lifted and it is allowed to keep.
Can you explain? Because I didn't know about this.
Yeah, there was a statement from the Minister of Education that you can keep your child at home.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Even if it's school, yes?
Yes.
Okay.
So that's at least my understanding. That's a post I have seen in Danish, and
You read Danish
I read
fluently.
Danish. That's my understanding right now. So if my understanding is wrong, I do apologize. My understanding right now is that people are allowed to keep their children at home. So I wanted to say that I deeply respect everyone's decision, and I really appreciate the fact that we can do it here, that we can choose this for ourselves. There are several factors which are taken under consideration, and I have seen a lot of discussion online, and a lot of people were scared, and I can understand why this fear came out. Our children is something that is very dear to our hearts, and that's the last thing that we want to test and see how the virus is going on, is our children. This is the last. This is the last where we wish to see our children sick. So I do completely understand that concern. I personally did not struggle with that decision. That decision was very easy for me. I looked at it from a perspective of the risk mitigation. I looked at the numbers of how severe the disease is for children, and that disease is not more severe for children than flu. So if I were to think about whether I will send my children to school and kindergarten when there is season flu, I should keep them at home every time there is flu, because currently flu is more dangerous to children than than coronavirus. So that's one factor. How severe that disease is for children. And it looks to be extremely kind with children, like no other disease. Like seriously, chickenpox is, chickenpox, flu, pneumonia, asthma, all the diseases that our children are exposed to every day in the kindergarten seem to be more severe than this one. So that's one factor that I took under consideration. Second factor is, of course, many people say, yes, it's kind for children, but the children will bring it back home. So the second factor you look at is how big of a risk group is your family. So if you are at home and you are a doctor, if you are someone who takes care of elderly, you might be wondering a lot, okay, fine, maybe my children will not get sick, but they can bring the disease back home, and then I can further spread it in my work. So that's a big concern for many people. And I can understand that. If you're afraid of the disease, if you are having a job that involves taking care of vulnerable people, definitely yes. So I looked at that other factor for myself. We don't live 3-4 generations in my home. It's just 2 generations. It's my children and me and my husband. None of us work in an environment where we have a high risk of meeting with anyone that is vulnerable. We are currently still both mainly at home, even though my husband's company is open. There are big restrictions how you can go to work, but he's not going to work because he doesn't need to. There are some people who have a higher need. So basically, if our children bring the disease back home, it's us. That makes me one of the people I believe that should be the ones going out there, finding the courage and seeing how it goes for the entire because we don't know, we don't have enough information about the disease. We don't know what will be 100% the best strategy. So I do believe that we are the ones who are in a very good position to actually work through our fears, find the courage, and be the ones to go out to be the first ones and check how that will impact. So for me personally, that was not a difficult decision at all. We are 5 healthy people. I, of course, hate it when my kids get sick. And it's horrible to go through. But I do not feel that coronavirus is any bigger risk to be taken right now than the risk of a regular seasonal flu.
I believe that your decision is very well thought out, and you actually took a quite pragmatic approach as well towards it, and I think it's a good decision. Of course, it's your decision, but I would take exactly the same decision if I'm to be honest. However, I am very much aware that there is a lot of parents out there who are worried and scared. And I know that there is, I don't know how to call it. I guess this is something like a petition that parents can sign. I have received that petition already from a couple of my Facebook friends. The petition, well, I would say the translation, Google Translate translation is, "My child is not experimental rabbit, COVID-19. And what Google Translate tells me is that we are collecting signatures to show our dissatisfaction with the partial reopening of Denmark. Our kids are not guinea pigs. Help us collect signatures so we can keep our kids at home. We have chosen to do this on the basis of Prime Minister Mette F. Press meeting on 6th of April. While the coronavirus is particularly affecting older people, children and teens are largely prevented from getting sick. It shows a report that, according to World Health Organization, recently published, which means that children can easily carry the infection but not get sick. We need to react now." So I think today I checked and it was 17,813 signatures under this petition. And there is also a Facebook group that is called also "My Child Will Not Be the Experimental Rabbit for COVID-19. That group has more than 40,000 members on Facebook. I was invited to that group several times already, and parents are discussing their concerns. They are basically showing their opinion, also sharing their stories. There are parents who are deciding to keep their children home, and they are explaining why, and people can comment and exchange opinions. I think it's good that there is a forum like this where people can exchange opinions, because it's quite difficult to exchange opinions when you are locked down. So I think it's good that there is actually an outlet when you can voice your fears. But I have to say that I'm not sure if there is any like a resolution there, because there are also people there who are not afraid to send their children out, and they are, let's say, arguing with the ones who want to keep their children home. I am also not clear what is the purpose of the petition, because it looks like the petition purpose is to revoke the decision of Prime Minister, so keep the lockdown. And if that is the case, I'm not sure what would be the proposed solution by the parents who want still to have the schools and kindergarten closed. And I am getting now even more confused, because at the very beginning I thought, okay, kindergarten and Voggestu and Daupleie, which are like Kresha, those are not obligatory things. You don't have to send your child there, right? If you don't want to, don't send your child. I believe that every parent should have a right to make their own decision about their own children. I thought that the problem is with the schools, because this can actually affect the education of your child. However, let's face it, from 0 to 5 classes, this is not like we are studying for university entrance or something. So this is still something that I believe kids can catch up with, right? So I thought that there is some sort of a forcing by the municipalities to send the kids back to school. Like you mentioned, Marta, that maybe they will actually take your monetary benefits, because here in Denmark we are getting the money for the children every quarter and so on, so on. But if that is not the case, then I truly believe that everyone should make their own decision, and that's pretty much all. What worries me is that I see many posts by parents in that group, because I am not a member, but I read it, when, a mother is sharing that I prefer to follow my motherly intuition and I prefer to follow my heart, and my heart tells me that there is a danger and I don't want to send my kids. And then there are likes, and there are yes, you are so brave. And I've seen 2 or 3 posts by parents who are saying, I'm also following my intuition and I will send my children. And then the comments are a bit different. Yeah, but it's danger. What will you do when your child gets sick? How will you ensure that your child will not infect others? So what I'm worried about is that the motherly intuition is only okay if it is fear-based. You know what I mean?
Well, I don't see any difference in that regards when it comes to raising children than what we already know. I see the same kind of discussions when it comes to whether you will breastfeed or use the bottle.
Yeah.
And that shifts, yeah? In the past, you were a good mom if you were given a bottle. And now, at least my impression is that majority, more than half,
Yeah.
I don't know, but that can still be just a subjective impression, is that you are a good mom if you breastfeed. So I do not see any difference here. I see it the same way as it always comes with motherhood, parenthood. Your decision, if you are fear-based, if you're a fear-based parent, if someone is taking another decision than yours, you take it personally because you believe that makes your decision wrong. People who are fine with their own, worthiness, their own decisions, they don't mind other people taking other decisions. That's what I believe. I mean, as long as there is freedom to take the decision that is good for you, I do not see a reason why to even criticize another mother. As long as she's not, beating her child black and blue. Blue is a color, I've mentioned that before. I had a blue child for different reasons.
Yes.
So
Sadness.
that was
sadness.
Yeah, that was sadness. I don't see why to criticize. I have been talking to a few mothers that take a different decision than my own. I am full of compassion. They are, for example, Italian moms or Spanish moms who are getting a lot of information from their own countries where the situation is really bad. They are scared. I have talked to moms who have very small babies, 1-year-old, 2-year-old, who cannot take any concern when it comes to any social distancing or anything like that. I understand that fully. I have talked to moms who said, you know what, I got to enjoy having my children at home. I am bonding with my children. I believe that right now the pedagogues will be stressed at the beginning if they get too many kids. I have the beautiful opportunity to keep my kids at home, and I'm going to keep them. And that's one of the friends that sent me an email or showed an email on her Facebook page from the school saying that's perfectly fine to leave your kid at home, even though it's school. Another thing that I have noticed is that the division right now, because that was not the case at the very beginning when it was announced, a lot of people were divided at that point. But to me, it seems that right now the division is mainly when it comes to kindergarten children, those small kiddos who really don't know how to keep the distance, how to wash their hands properly and so on. At least in my child's school, all the kids are back in his class. So it does not seem to be a big concern for the actual bigger kids, the school kids. The school has been amazing, taking the measures that, to the highest level they can, organizing the school in such a great way. Really, so quickly. They use the time over Easter to divide the school so that children, they are divided in groups of 3 with whom they are playing all the time together. The classes are divided because only half of the school is back. The other half is studying from home, the oldest kids. So the kids are divided into classrooms. They are really sitting 2 meters away. They are spending vast majority of time outside. I believe that really from my point of view, from my gut feeling, I believe that kids are safer there, being so much outside and playing, being happy, because my kids are happy like piglets that they can be back with their friends, are healthier in general, the general health well-being, the mental and physical well-being from playing outside in the nice sunny spring weather in Denmark and mentally happy to be with their friends than when they are sitting at home depressed and not being able to go out. That's my view, but I have absolutely deepest respect for another take from any other mom.
Yeah, I have to say, guys, I'm probably a bit of a, and I will use this word and it will be probably misunderstood. I'm probably a bit of anarchist in a sense that I actually am not a big fan of big government decisions being done and influencing everyone. So I had my own opinions about the strategy that government took with the lockdown, but I had to obey, although from the ideological point of view, I believe that we should be able to exercise our own free will. I am now claiming exactly the same. If you want to leave your child home, I would love this not to be a problem. I believe it's every parent's individual decision. I might not agree with you. I might change, meaning I might have sent my children to school with no problem, but I would never impose my opinion on other parent who doesn't feel that this is not okay with them. So I believe everyone should have a right to choose. So I'm coming back to actually that's my ideology, and I understand the parents who are afraid, and I don't believe that children should be forced to go anywhere because parents should be able to make those decisions. So that's my opinion. Dennis, what do you think? Before we will jump to Artist of the Week, because we have one, guys, today.
Okay, it's a very, very large question, but I do agree with Marta. You have to make an informed decision. And to make an informed decision, you have to jump to number, 3? The vaccines. That what's the real alternative to actually opening up society slowly? There is none, because we don't have a vaccine and we don't have a cure. So the best we can hope for right now, as far as I understand, is developing some sort of herd immunity. And we can only do that by letting those least affected get the disease and then slowly develop this immunity. And science says that it's the smallest children who has the least effect by this disease. So what is the real alternative? Free will and everything, that's all good and well, but sadly you can never trust an entire population to be informed enough to make rational decisions. And what is intuition if it's not based on actual knowledge? It's worthless. And I'm not going to say that, because becoming a mom doesn't make you smart. It just makes you a mom.
Yeah, some could argue the opposite.
And they'd be wrong, because you don't gain any knowledge about science and infections and vaccines and immunity by becoming a mom. You gain a lot of wisdom, but you don't gain scientific knowledge. And I will be strung up somewhere for saying that, but that's just the case. So free will extends as far as it encroaches on other people's. So making it up to everybody, it just doesn't work on a national or international scale.
Well, that does go out to the vaccination topic largely. So we will have a lot of fun in the part 2 of this program.
Yep.
But I think, Marta, thank you very much for this, because I think it was very informative, but also full of compassion and respect message that you have sent to people, to parents, to Dennis. So I think it's really valuable that you shared this, and I hope that we will all be able to respect our decisions where we are not forced to send our children. The ones that want to keep them home, please do so. If you find joy in it, that's even better, because with small children, it might be that it's actually, oh my God, I can stay with my child home, right? If you feel that it's safe or it's a better solution to send your child, please do so. and don't get affected by parents who are saying that you are a suicidal person who is using your child as an experimental rabbit. Don't listen to that. Just do as you do, because there is, so far as I know, no requirement to send your child by force. You can decide. Please do so and respect our other parents' decisions.
Mm-hmm.
And I do think there is a strong disconnect between the word guinea pigs or experimental and then the knowledge of how vaccines and herd immunity works. There's a complete disconnect between those two terms. And the gap just lacks sense.
The gap is getting wider and wider, I'm afraid, Dennis.
I'm afraid so.
Yeah, but let's jump to our artist of the week. Let's go with the jingle, and I will make a magic phone call.
Supermoon Music brings to you Artist of the Week.
So, guys, I am dialing Sabrina, our today's artist of the week. And I hear...
Hello.
Hi, Sabrina. How are you? This is Anna from You've Got 5 Options.
Oh, hey. I'm really well. I was waiting for the interview.
Yes, and here we are. We are not on air, but you will be on air in around an hour, I believe. Right, Marta?
Yes.
Yes, Marta is my co-host here. Sabrina,
Hello.
thank you very much. You are a very special artist that we are having, because you are our very first artist after the lockdown of the station. So first of all, congratulations. And
thank you.
second of all, please tell us a little bit about your music and what are you doing? Because we got your info and your song from Dave from Supermoon Music. But maybe the best way would be for you to present yourself. So tell us, what are you playing, what is your music, and why are you doing this in the first place?
So my name is Sabrina, and I'm originally from Romania, from Transylvania. And right now I live in Denmark, land of Dracula.
Of course.
And right now I'm living in Denmark, where I'm a professional singer and guitarist. And recently I started making my own music. Generally, I compose alternative music, indie and electronic, and I try to create like a special genre, like my own. And I chose this song "Stuck" to be on radio because it's a very special song for me. I composed it when I went through some tough times, and it really helps me a lot. That's my way of coping with things. I compose music. And I hope that this song can actually help other people as well that go through hard times.
Well, you might have an audience here, Sabrina, because I believe that a lot of people currently are going through hard times, and a lot of people are actually stuck. I know that probably, no, you didn't plan that because you have actually sent the song before the lockdown. But before we will listen to your song, I would also like to ask you, how are you doing during the lockdown? You know, if you are a professional musician, that must be a little bit tough.
Yeah, I coped quite well. Like, I'm super surprised because I thought it's going to be a bit harder. It's true, it's a bit tough for the musicians at this time because basically our income comes from gigging most of the time, you know, going out for gigs and stuff. But this can also be a great chance for musicians to actually work on more on their music and on development and, you know, planning. And surprisingly, it's great that many musicians are so creative and they came up with live gigging, you know, on Facebook. And even I have friends that just gig from their balcony, you know, they just go up and play guitar, have a mobile payphone number there. So there are some, really creative people that still find their way out. So that is great. But we're all looking forward to this lockdown to end.
Okay. Please tell us, Sabrina, how can we support you personally if we would like to? And we would like to. It's not like we wouldn't like to. We actually would like to support you. Besides, of course, playing your song on the radio, what can people do to support you and musicians these days?
I think the best way to support musicians in these days is stay at home and wash our hands, because the faster this lockdown is going to end, the faster we can actually start gigging again and start earning more money.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, so but can we do something? Do you have some music coming out, or are you organizing an online concerts of any kind?
I'm actually planning to organize a live concert soon, and I just got my songs now on Spotify, and it would be great. It would be great if people would actually check them out. So.
Okay.
I won't mind.
So we will put all the links to your websites, to your Facebook page, and to your Spotify in show notes of this episode when it will come out as a podcast. So then people can go in and check when it's Sabrina's concert and how to find your music and you. Okay, super. Thank you very much, Sabrina. And now we will play your song. So get ready and stay safe. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much. Bye.
Stuck in my mind, so busy, I left you behind. I'm not gonna lie, part of me died, got up into silent thought. In the silent thought, I forgot who I was meant to be or not. No one else will see that I cried. This thought too into silent thought. So let's get up and say how we feel when the pain gets real and the silence starts to break in pieces. Oh, now release me, oh, now, or release me. Stuck in your love, couldn't see anyone above. If I was lost, stuck in your silent thought, with your face, body, love, honey. I couldn't lie to you all, honey. Tell me why. Let's get up and say how we feel when the pain of God's real and the silence starts to break in pieces. Oh, now release me, oh, now, or release me, oh, now, or release me, oh, now, oh, oh. Got stuck in your love, couldn't see anyone above.
And that was Sabrina with a song Stuck. If you are interested in Sabrina, probably not for dating purposes, but in her music, then definitely visit our show notes of this episode on the 5options.com, 5 as a number, on Tuesday. And you will be able to track her down, not her as a person, but her music. Why am I sounding so creepy?
Because it's Corona times and the world is creepy.
The world is creepy, yeah. So thank you very much, Sabrina, one more time for the interview and the music. And we are coming back to the second challenge of today. I think we will just skip the jingle, Dennis, although I like that your fingers were very fast. They're like, yeah. And the second challenge is, although I think the first one was really interesting to discuss, but the second was how to protest when you cannot assemble or gather. And here we would like to definitely address those situations where in certain countries governments might be using the lockdown and the fact that their citizens are immobilized at homes to maybe push some of the laws that usually would gain a controversial response and would be opposed to. Because there are, I think, two things that we have to think about if we talk about protests. There are people who are definitely not happy with this entire situation and are actually against the lockdown and the limitation of the freedom itself. That's one group that would definitely protest only for that. And there are also people who are noticing in certain countries that the government is doing something that in normal times wouldn't fly. And how can they voice their opinions when they cannot assemble or gather? I know.
Well, this is a very difficult topic.
Very difficult.
And I do admit that it concerned me personally a lot when I found out about the general lockdown of 3 billion people. I, coming from a country with a communistic past, with people being killed for protesting, with people being put in prison for having a different opinion than the official opinion of the country, it really pressed some deep, fears in me that we are now putting a world on a lockdown, because I could feel that there are people who are going to use it for bad purposes. I don't know how to call it, because I don't like to put things in good and bad or right and wrong. And we see that happening in my beloved home country.
That happens to be also my beloved country as well.
Yeah. So one thing is people who feel they lost their freedom to do whatever they would like to do. Yeah. They cannot earn money. They cannot put, food on the table into their families and so on. And they want to, like you said, protest against the lockdown itself. And they cannot do it freely right now. That's difficult already. Mm-hmm. But these things like trying to enforce a law forbidding entirely abortion in Poland, that's close to scandalous for me, even though I rarely get something as scandalous, to be honest. Mm-hmm. In Poland, abortion is only allowed in very few restricted cases, things like rape, things like threat to mother's life and terminal disease of a baby. Mm-hmm. So it's already very restricted. And right now, the government is trying to pass a law which will forbid it completely, which means that you will be forced by law to carry a pregnancy, even if it is a life threat to you, and you already have, 4 or 5 children at home who will then be at a high risk of losing a mother. Mm-hmm. I find it very difficult. I find it very, very difficult. And that law, the government in Poland has been trying to pass over the last few years. Every time it's brought up, millions of people go out on streets in Poland in a strong protest because it's a cruel law. Mm-hmm. It's a I'm not going to get
emotional.
I'm not going to get emotional. Yeah. It's rarely that I believe these kind of things, but I do believe, although I must say this, I personally am not pro-abortion. I cannot say I'm pro-abortion or against abortion. Yeah. I am pro-free will choice in this kind of matters. Mm-hmm. And how do we protest then? So in Poland, people started to protest online. There are some filters on Facebook where you can put a few different filters. Unfortunately, and this I have found out today, the filters are also having the face mask, which and then they have a commentary in Polish. So some of my friends from other countries than Poland, they now think that I am pro wearing masks. Mm-hmm. So that I am protesting something around, staying at home, wearing a mask, and so on. So maybe not entirely working in this way, because that's not the case. That's not the reason why I am having that filter. And that's maybe something that can be taken under consideration. But one way of going protesting is online. Mm-hmm. And another way I've read about it that's quite interesting. In US, there are many people in many different states protesting against the lockdown, and they have been gathering in protests inside their cars.
Yes,
which is an interesting solution if you want to protest against something. Some people started to leave their cars and started to gather in front of Capitol without respecting the law of social distancing. But then again, if you are not seeing the point of social distancing, if you yourself are believing that it makes no sense, then of course you are then more prone to not to be keeping that social distance yourself. So yeah. And my personal way is writing about it. Writing about it, talking to people about it. I've read that many activists are using the phones, talking to each other on the phones, organizing Zoom calls, and so on. So it's difficult times for people who believe that some bad things or wrong things are happening in the world. It's difficult to protest. Our free right to peaceful protest is not being easy to be executed right now.
Yes, and unfortunately we are having a coincidence that some people believe is not a coincidence, because 2019 was a year when there were massive protests in many, many countries. Very close to my heart, Chile, because my younger daughter is half Chilean. There were millions of people on the street protesting against the government. Now, of course, they cannot do it. There was the same protest in Hong Kong, in Barcelona, the Yellow Vest in France. There was a lot of movement that was not connected with the virus at all, and people were trying to abolish or negotiate different conditions because they didn't believe in the righteous motives of their governments, and now all of this is banned because of the virus. So many people have an impression that this situation is being used by the governments to silence the voices that are protesting against the problems that did not disappear because of the virus. Those problems are still there, but now you cannot voice your protest. Another thing is that there is actually quite a number of protests all over the world. It's just that you cannot really find many information about it because we do have a problem with Google algorithm and indexing the pages right now. It's difficult to find alternative informations. I don't believe it's a secret because those are official announcements. But the places, today I found that there are protests in Ohio and Michigan in the United States, in Pakistan, in India, Mumbai, South Africa, Nigeria, and Germany. And those are protests only regarding the lockdown and taking the liberty of people, for people to actually voice their opinions. Those people, as you mentioned, they don't care about social distancing. They just simply are saying, okay, this is bull. The other people, I also noticed, Marta, what you have said. I know that there were some women in Poland that in the middle of the night went down and prepared the posters, especially protesting this abortion law. And they were gluing those posters on the normal ads windows, like on the bus stops and stuff. So there were huge posters, and it was, in the middle of the night, running away from police, because police in Poland is very, very eager to give you a fine if you are doing something against the lockdown law. And apparently some parts of Warsaw were just simply, covered in posters with protests against this law. So that's also an idea. But if you think that people are not protesting, then you are misinformed. There are protests, and I think it's a boiling pot, the pot that can explode. But let's try to figure out how can we voice our opinions in these difficult times when we cannot gather and we cannot assemble, and we can do it in other ways. It's a time for creativity to take over, I guess.
Luckily, we are humans and we can be creative.
Yes, I guess so. I believe that this is almost the end of our very first part of 5 challenges that fellow humans are facing right now when they are during the lockdown. Maybe we will come back to the challenge number 2 in the second episode. Maybe we will not, because as you know, we always have a lot of things to say about many things. And that was a very stupid sentence I have just voiced. Many things about many things. Dennis, I made you laugh. That's awesome. Marta, so what? Are we ready for part 2 soon?
Definitely.
Definitely, guys. Thank you very much for today. You will be able to hear the part 2 next week on Friday at 2 o'clock on the radio. And like always, on our website, the5options.com. Bye-bye.
That's all, folks. Bye.
That's your life challenge. or just to see how do we really look like, visit our website, the5options.com.
We hope you enjoyed this episode and that you will come for more. That's all, folks!